Thank you very much, Sharon. Sharon said I'm Bernice Hancock, and I'm the Executive Director of the Community Education Network for Southwestern Newfoundland. We're a fairly large nonprofit organization that works in the rural communities throughout Southwestern Newfoundland. So that includes the Stephenville, Port Peninsula, Bay St. George South, Burgeo and coastal communities, Port aux Basques, Codroy Valley and coastal communities. So some very rural and remote communities in our southwestern area. Our project, Workforce Innovation through Social Enterprise, came out of, I guess, a need that we had identified for individuals that we were working with that were really struggling with entering or re-entering the workforce. Our organization provides a lot of services throughout the lifespan. We have our associate organizations, the Community Action Committee Family Resource Program and Community Youth Network. The Community Action Committee provides prenatal support and postnatal as well, our family resource programs, licensed preschools, and then we have our Community Youth Network, which works with youth, school-age youth and older youth up to age 30 with leadership development, connecting with the community, and developing programs and services to meet the identified needs. We also have housing support, adult basic education, a number of employment programs that we offer on a regular basis, and also adult basic education, which I already mentioned, and also a mental health and addictions youth outreach worker through Western Health. So we like to provide wraparound services. So of course, the need was identified for social enterprise development in our area. And we were successful in getting funding through NLWIC, which is greatly appreciated to be able to do this. Our organization has about 30 years experience. We're actually celebrating our 30 years this year. So very pleased to be offering programs and continuing to grow. And our mission is creating a learning culture through a lifelong learning process, which promotes personal enrichment and healthy, sustainable communities. We are very much about inclusion and collaboration. We have many, many partners, and we work together to provide the services that we offer in rural and remote communities throughout our region. I'm going to turn it over to Ian, and he's going to discuss the project more fully. So Ian, you can take it away.
Thank you very much, Bernice. Greatly appreciate it as always. So to jump right in, our project is called Workforce Innovation through Social Enterprise. So next slide, Michelle, please. So the primary research question, so what practical and innovative social enterprise opportunities exist in southwestern Newfoundland and Labrador, which can address workforce challenges, provide training and employment opportunities, support community sustainability, and build a stronger economic foundation for the region as demonstrated and evaluated in a pilot study. Next slide. So to jump right in, some research learnings to date. Next slide again, please, Michelle. So workforce innovation. So social enterprises should include an employee base with a diverse range of needs and employment barriers. As well, identifying and understanding specific barriers and providing support to remove such barriers should be a priority before and during workforce engagements. And lastly, a bridging agency can provide employment guidance. Some examples of the bridging agencies, as Bernice mentioned, the Community Education Network with the various employment programs. We have the Bay St. George Employment Corporation, and those are just a few of the many out there. Next slide, Michelle, please. Then we have the community collaboration. So it takes the parent organization as a whole to make the social enterprise work. Building formal collaborations with other social enterprises and continued assistance are very important to the success of the subsidiary earned income social enterprise. Next slide, please. And then, of course, the big one, the financial support. So new and existing social enterprises need support from a diverse range of funding sources. The more, the better. Financial support from the government, as well as subsidy programs, are necessary to increase capacity and engage people in the community to work. So if there's no money, people aren't going to work. We all know that. Next slide, please. Then we have some networking. So a grassroots collective decision-making approach to operating a social enterprise or developing a project empowers the participants and the community members. Business opportunities and visibility can be expanded by regular conversations within the community, such as town halls and networking events. Surveys and development evaluations can be used to gauge key performance indicators for trained workforce as well as community impact. Next slide, please. So then we have some gaps in the research. So we did discover that hybridity exists in the field of social enterprise, which can limit the establishing clear classifications of these social enterprises. So for example, while social enterprises are considered nonprofits, all nonprofits do not consider themselves a social enterprise. This divide disallows clear and unified case study classification and kind of undermines certain efforts to clearly identify nonprofit organizations that best fit social enterprise descriptions. So you have on one hand, the literature may suggest that a nonprofit model in one jurisdiction is a social enterprise, but you have on the other hand, many nonprofits and jurisdictions do not identify as social enterprises. So as such, more research is really needed to explore ways to conceptualize the field of social enterprise. Another one of the gaps identified in the research was a lack of discussion on barriers that exist in southwestern Newfoundland and Labrador. Next slide, Michelle. So then we jumped into the pilot learnings to date. Next slide, please. So employment training. So on-the-job technological tools are key to skills advancement, improve productivity, and increase sales and revenue, which was particularly evident during the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, a lack of necessary training and resources from employers to effectively tend to the needs of individuals experiencing barriers to employment. So for example, mental health training, soft skills training, and other necessary types of training. Lastly, partnerships are the key to success, and finding the right partner or partners is absolutely essential. Next slide, please. So then we jump into the impacts. So increased networking on a local, regional, national, and international level for both the team and the organization was an absolute pleasure to do. Then there was new on-tap business experience for the organization and other partner organizations. Also, employment opportunities for people with employment barriers. And then, of course, the obvious one, the ongoing pandemic had both a positive and negative impact on the piloting of social enterprises. So two of the social enterprises actually came from the COVID-19 pandemic. One was an online marketplace, and the other was actually a social enterprise based in Ireland. And we started a chapter over here, and it's a driver of remote work. So next we have some recommendations. So we broke it down into the government, training providers, and then community organizations. So for the government, support social enterprise research and provide the funding to nurture social enterprise growth in the province. For training providers, provide that training and accommodate individuals facing employment barriers. And then lastly, the community organizations, provide necessary training for staff and volunteers to build a supportive environment for employees with employment barriers. And then lastly, we have the potential research question. So moving forward, what are the specific employment barriers faced by individuals living in rural communities? How are they currently being addressed, and how can employment supports be improved through social enterprise? Thank you.